Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's talk about money this morning. The money, the money, the money, the money, the money. Family finances. Even the rooster wants to talk about family finances, so let's get started. Have you noticed something new as enlightening? I like it. I'm trying. I am really trying. I figured out that the extra light I had was not an extra light, it's a necessary light. And I never tried it until this morning because I wanted to see if I couldn't brighten up the place a bit. It's kind of hazy out and I can't rely on sunlight. Natural light, and natural light is not doing the job. Since when is natural light not bright enough? I guess I have to be outside. I'm Miss Margaret, and welcome to the Morning After. This is an open forum where we get together over a cup of coffee and we discuss any and everything. And this morning we are continuing our discussion on Fascinating Womanhood by Helen Andelin. She has gone on to talk about finances, and you know, if you're an adult watching this, and if you're a married adult watching this, if you are a single adult, if you are an adult watching this, you know that finances are a very uncomfortable conversation for a lot of people because it doesn't sound like love to start monetizing and evaluating and valuating everything in your life to decide what's important and what is not important and whose dreams come first. Well, let's start off with a quote. I really hate reading to you, but I have to, otherwise you won't get it. So I'm on chapter 11, Family Finances, direct quote from, as I said, Fascinating Womanhood by Helen Andelin. It reads as follows. The man in his duties as the leader and provider, and the woman in her duties as the wife and homemaker, share the responsibility of family finances. The proper division of concern is this. And she splits it into two roles, the husband's role and the wife's role. So first is the husband's role. His role is to provide the money, manage the money, and take on the concern and worry for survival, I suppose. She doesn't specify there. And then under the wife's role, to be thrifty, cooperate with his plans, and provide a peaceful home life. And I will continue to the next paragraph. I won't read the whole thing, but here's the basic. As made clear in the Holy Scriptures, the man has the responsibility to provide the living. Since he is also the leader, it falls to him to manage the money and worry about it. So that concern and worry is about the money. Therefore, it is not the wife's responsibility to earn the living, manage the money, or worry about it. She should be given a household budget, but should not be responsible for the overall management of the income. I'm going to stop there because you know the last time, I believe it was the previous video, I talked a little bit, or at least I touched on, I think, that a fact of the matter is that not every culture is going to be able to subscribe to that. Where I live is a marine culture and a blue economy. And the fact of the matter is the men are traditionally out at sea, which means the women are left on land to manage home. And that is not only the economy, but right down to the finances because, well, he's not home to do it. So she takes that role in the household dynamic. What is the dynamic in your household? I wonder about that. I know when I was growing up, my parents' household finances were managed a little bit unconventionally, maybe. My parents' formula was this: my father had his account, my mother had her account, and then there was a joint account to which they both paid into, and therefore established that lack of worry or that comfortability that all was taken care of and all was well. When one or the other stumbled, I suppose, at this point, I don't know the story. I just know the general arrangement that they had. But I can imagine that if one or the other of them stumbled, they knew to say something to the other automatically, or to at least try to negotiate a better strategy for the month until they got out of a hole. It could have been something as major as a house repair or a family illness. For example, when my mom was out for surgery, my father had to carry everything, including me and my sister getting that hair done on the way to school every morning, lunch, all of that. But I digress. Back to the finances. What is the structure that you're accustomed to? And then let's take a look and see what Helen Andelin is suggesting. I think Andelin has a great point about finances and a woman's role and responsibility in the household finance. And one point she makes that I don't know that anyone would disagree with if they've ever had any financial responsibility is that a woman or a partner can make or break a man financially. Thrift is her role, according to Andelin. And when she is not thrifty and not working within the financial plan or the vision of success for the family, then she's working against the family. Some women feel that their money is their own and they do what they want and he has to provide, etc. Except the thing is that etc. tends to be a roof overhead, food on the table, and clothes on her back. And I know that that's a young girl mentality. I hope that it's improving out there in those mean streets. But in my generation, I think we're far more practical about these things, and we understand that a man cannot carry all of this by himself. Now is a good time for me to take a break and tell you that if you're enjoying the music in the background, go over to my playlist for Sunday brunch and you'll find a mix called Solitude, and that's what you're listening to now. So we understand that when a woman is not working with the plan, she's working against the plan. There is very little room for the gray area. Very little room for the gray area. What is the gray area? A mink coat? A pair of shoes? Food? Exotic food that maybe you don't have to have, but it's a treat. Those indiscretions, how do they factor into a financial reality for a man? When does a woman say that she's going to deny herself something that she just wants, does not need, in respect to the household vision? There are some women who would say, well, the hair and nails are going to happen with or without the necessities. I think that's a dangerous game. But I also understand that when we work hard, we must recognize the benefit of having an earning, an income, that we are motivated to continue working. If I never get rewarded, what are the chances I'm going to continue to work that hard? Andelin talks about a woman's willingness to make sacrifices. I don't know that there's any adult that does not make sacrifices of some sort, even the bad ones, even the poorly conceived sacrifices. People make them because they have to feel valued. They have to feel they're getting something out of it. And I understand that. How does that factor into a relationship though? When have you given enough? When have you sacrificed enough? How do you value whether or not your partner has sacrificed enough and maybe it's their turn to enjoy the fruits of the labor unencumbered? When does that happen? What if you don't approve of the financial downgrades? Andelin says to feel free to express yourself. Here comes a motorcycle. What if you object? What if you object to the downgrade and how the downgrade should be handled, how it should be managed? Andelin is saying that you have a right to express yourself and that by all means you do so, but to make sure that your complaint, that you're lamenting, is not based on selfishness, selfish needs, that you are putting the family first and that you are considering your husband's capacity to carry it all, the worry, the concern, money management, the income earning while you're making certain decisions. Are we fair to our partners when it comes to that? And you know me, woman's lib. Is your partner being fair to you? What about this budget she's talking about? What is included in a woman's household budget? Andelin is suggesting that it includes food, clothing, personal items, and anything in regular demand. Your consumables. I'm not sure how that works out in terms of people. I regularly demand what? Food, clothing, household goods, personal items. I guess that's where the hair and nails happen, right? I think so. The woman's budget does not include furniture, appliances, major household repairs, remodeling, or any of the occasional things, as she calls them. And they are occasional. I don't want to put gas in the car, however. That's my vote. I think that should be for him. If I'm doing food and clothing and all these other things and being thrifty, I need him to put some gas in the car. I consider that occasional myself. Andelin says the budget should be fair and based on the husband's income or the spouse's or the partner's income, and hopefully be generous enough to have a little left over for you to, as a partner, a woman, a wife, to be thrifty and creative with the remaining funds, which your partner is not to question or set guidelines for the use of those funds. Here's something that really got my attention when I was reading, and it is about financial distress. What to do when there's financial distress. Andelin is suggesting that the woman become more thrifty and be creative in terms of reducing expenses and trimming the luxuries. She also talks about the woman's savings, that in this case or in this scenario, the man has every right to go into her savings to cover the expenses. And that as part of the dynamic of who holds the purse strings, once she gets involved and asserts herself, it causes a confusion in roles. And in so doing, she causes distress for him and stress on herself. And Andelin returns to the first point, which is that a woman is not to take on the stress, anxiety, concern, or worry about finances. That is turning everything from the 21st century on its head. Now, if If I put my money away in the bank and I'm scrimping and I'm saving and I'm thrifty based on the weekly or monthly allowance that I'm given to manage the household besides, and you can come along as my partner and just put your hand in the kitty and do what you will based on, oh, we're in a spot. I think somebody needs to talk to me. I don't know. I go back to my parents' arrangement. Some things are just beyond me. I understand the one household, we become one. But how did we get there and I didn't know that? How are you in my finances and you cannot explain what happened to your finances or our finances? Worse, if you're managing that joint account, the assumption is that, well, I've put into it, therefore you have command over it, and thusly the responsibility is yours. That's just me being hard-nosed about it. I know that in the end I'm a softer person, but just speaking objectively right now about a random scenario that's being presented, that's my gut reaction. Because as much as there's love in any relationship, I think there's also something to be said for the business of the relationship. Business to be translated as money. I am going to one day remember to silence my phone. It wasn't today, however. I don't want to lose my point. The issue here is, when do we call a spade a spade? When do we say to a partner, I can't afford you anymore? Or you are reaching for something we cannot afford? Or it's my money and I do what I wanna. I know that's a song, but still about a party. Listen. Andelin also says something about a woman helping a man financially, and that if she becomes the money manager in that reversal of roles or role confusion, that he will be unsympathetic when there's a problem because he's not accustomed to managing the money or having the worryation, and he definitely is not going to be missing or yearning for that. So it's better to allow him to suffer as the lead and you suffer as the follow than it is for you to take over, lead, and then in his following find that he becomes dependent upon a woman. I think a lot of women feel something when a man puts his hand out asking for help financially, asking for anything other than moral support. What is moral support worth in a relationship? To you, to your partner, what is it really worth? Can it be valued? One final question is whether or not you understand what role money, finances, the family finances play in your relationship. It's over there by itself, I know, but it's also part of the bigger picture, isn't it? How do you view family finances in your relationship? Is it primary, secondary, or is it one of those things you just don't talk about? I think we all need to talk about it, especially now. Not just because of roles and responsibilities, but because the cost of living is going up. If you're not financially fit, you're out of shape for a lot of things in life, and we know this. A parting thought based on Andelin's suggestion that if you do not want to continue managing household finances, that you do the following. The first thing you want to do is discuss the principles of family finances as she has presented them. And if he agrees, then to take note that you are on the right track. Of course, if he disagrees with you, you are not on the right track. And Andelin is suggesting that you have a little talk. And in this talk, you are going to say something similar to the following. I can't handle it any longer. It's a burden and it won't be as difficult for you. You're a man. Please take the concern and the worry away from me and take this over completely. Will you take this over completely? If he still says no, then Andelin suggests that you have not embraced all of the principles of Fascinating Womanhood, and you need to keep reading. And that's what we're going to do. And I'll see you next week. Have a great one. Thank you for joining me. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. I really resisted saying that this entire video, but if nothing else, if you like the lighting, click the like button. I'll take that. See you next time. Bye for now.